We're on. Okay, we'll call this meeting of the Monday, October 7th, Jamestown City Council work session to order. The clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Sheldon.
Here.
Beckman. Pedernity.
Here.
Reynolds.
Present.
Faulkner.
Here.
Bonfiglio.
Here.
Diversa.
Here.
Russell.
Here.
And President Bowles.
Here. Thank you. This time we'll give a chance for the public to speak. If anybody would like to address the council tonight, please give your name and address and limit your remarks to 5 minutes. Anybody would like to speak? Okay. Good. Okay. All right. I'm gonna move on. Housing Committee?
Thank you, Mr. President. We had a couple of citizens report and comment to us as a housing committee. Missy gave kudos to Crystal Surick and the Department of Development for fixing a complaint that she had registered in a timely way and was very appreciative of the quick response and action. Great to see some of the building projects that are going around town. Missy's all about the city, and was glad to see some new structures and to note that some demolitions will be coming forth. So it's good with the bad, but she was very positive in her comments and how the city's making do in the demolition and new builds project. Crystal added that some properties have more than one case. It was brought up on the website that a particular property might have a closed indicator on the screen when in fact that property might have more than one case. So it's several cases could in essence be attached to a single property. Then we had Mr. Dave Gilbert stop and inquired again about the vacant lots that are available here in the city, particularly the one next to his home on the corner of Charles and Crown. He's spent years trying to acquire that property, and through different ownership, I guess, with the land bank being involved in the city and the former owners, that it's been tough to acquire that parcel. Crystal explained that because there's so many of them, and rather than doing them individually, that her department's gonna work on parceling on the ones that are available for sale, bundle them together, similar to what the county does with a tax sale. And she'll report how many of those lots might be available for auction at some future point in time. And it's the season of demolitions. Paving work is starting to cease for a lot of these contractors, and so a couple of more have been added. A couple of more contractors have been added to the list of contractors to assist us in demolishing the houses that are so sited. And then she reminded the committee and all of us here that, you know, start to finish time on a lot of these demolitions, starting with the paperwork, a survey, asbestos abatement, and the like. It can take up to 4 months in that process. Also, we discussed it's in everybody's packet about the V-RIP Vacant Rental Improvement Program. Crystal's department submitted a grant application to New York State Homes and Community Renewal, and for $2,913,750, and in record time was able to process that application, and we're waiting to see if we're awarded that opportunity. If we do get acceptance, then it would be up to us to approve it and put it to good use. A number of vacant apartments might benefit, not the owners of several vacant apartments might be able to benefit by the remodel on that. Is there anything else on that, Crystal, I might have missed?
No, I think you covered it. If there's any specific questions. So we're asking, this is for informational purposes, but also asking that should we be awarded, the resolution that's attached, is asking council to approve acceptance of the grant award. And that was, I honestly did not have anything to do with writing the grant. My team and Paula pulled it together in like 3 days, so they did an awesome job.
Super. Well, thank you for that. That's it, Mr. President.
Any questions? Thank you. We'll move on to finance.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll just piggyback off that last thing that Mr. Reynolds spoke about. Finance Committee did approve that resolution seeking $2.913 million, partner with Code, Citizens Upgrade for Development Equality, to renovate 25 to 35 units, rental property units. That resolution was approved. Next, we have a resolution from Jamestown Police Department authorizing them to enter into a purchase agreement with Robert Green Truck Division of Rockville, New York for two 2025 Dodge Durango Pursuits. Total purchase price is $90,245.16. And also, the police department wants to enter an agreement with Island Tech Services of Ronkonkoma, New York, for equipment necessary to outfit these two Dodge Durango Pursuits, with a cost not to exceed $14,816.00. That was approved.
And that's out of ARPA.
Yep, that money is fine.
And just a reminder that that money, that's not in addition to, that was the money that was given back
Thank you.
when the 3 officers were not hired.
And finally, we have a resolution, the City of Jamestown applies for state funding under the New York State Governor's Traffic Safety Committee Police Traffic Services Program for 2024 and 2025 in the amount of $8,556.00, provided by the State of New York. This will be used to have increased traffic stops to make sure drivers and their passengers are wearing their seatbelts, make sure they're driving safely. Hopefully they'll be checking on people using cell phones while they're driving too. Leads to a lot of accidents.
Sorry.
I was just looking up where Rock Hill was.
I was gonna ask that.
Where is it, Joe?
Happened to be
It's a
here.
long ways away,
Yeah.
4 hours.
Orange County?
I've done it.
That motion was approved. Speak with the comptroller about the budget process. The presentation will be tomorrow at 4 p.m. There's budget, working out of the wrap till then. And the auditors will be starting to work on the 2023 budget this week. Starting it remotely.
You gonna pick those cars up yourself?
It's opening up. Sorry, Fred.
That's it. And that's all we have in finance.
Any questions on that?
Tomorrow is,
I will talk about it.
okay.
Move on to public safety, Jeff?
Thank you, Mr. President. We just had 2 resolutions. They were the same ones that Brent just talked about for the police department. The first one for the 2 new Dodge Durangos, which will replace aging vehicles that are used for day-to-day patrol, and then also the equipment to outfit those vehicles, such as light bars, radios, cages, that sort of thing. And that resolution passed, and then the second one again was for the monies, the $8,556 that Brent talked about to the Governor's Traffic Safety Committee, and that passed as well. And then we had an informational report for the 2024 Jamestown High School Homecoming Parade to be held on October 18th. 2024 from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., including setup and tear down. And the parade route will begin at Allen Park and continue to Strider Field. there'll be some extra officers there for traffic control and blocking off the street for the homecoming parade. So everyone try to make it up there and have a good time for homecoming. And then the only other thing we had was I brought up there was a request for a street light at 15 Dexter Street, and that was given to Jen to forward on to BPU. So, that was it.
Public Works, there was no resolutions. Did you have anything else there? Norman?
Yes, we did. We had a citizen, Missy Paterniti, asked if the department could look into school zone start and stop signage. It was discussed and Mark elaborated to the fact that the signage that is currently there should be able to tell the motorist when it starts and when it stops, especially when you get the speed limit back up to 30 after you've left the school zone. So that, we did talk about that. Two other issues were asked of the DPW, and I'm going to paraphrase this, so bear with me. One of them is a concerned citizen that lives on Newland Avenue, would like an all-way stop at the intersection of Newland and Barrett. Now, when citizens in the public suggest altering anything that has to do with traffic, they go into the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices, MUTCD, and it was suggested not to put up an all-way stop sign, and this is the end result, and instead installing one extra stop sign on both Barrett Avenue sides of both Barrett, and paint a stop bar for extra emphasis on the intersection. Because when they do their studies, they take the criteria that needs to be met is crash history, traffic volume.
Keeps going off.
You better go visit that place now.
That's your next. Little
On
do you
my way. It's on
know,
airplane
little do you
mode.
know you got a virus.
I think I do.
Oh, geez.
They totally lost my train of thought.
You're on Barrett.
I'm on Barrett. Okay, Barrett.
Make a left-hand turn.
You're right on East Third.
On your way to run Kokomo.
Okay. So, and with their study, it did not meet the criteria with the amount of traffic, pedestrian traffic, and accidents. And when it doesn't meet that criteria, the department does all they can. And in this case, they've done this at another intersection before, and it did help. Mark had told us. And the other spot, as we've talked about before here, is the all-way stop at Forest and Prather, and Mr. Franco was concerned about that intersection and the safety of it. And of course they did their research and went into the accidents, again, the traffic volume, pedestrian volume, and again it did not meet the criteria, and in the traffic division suggestion, would be to not put it up, and start on Forest Avenue starting and stopping could be dangerous from a minor street to a heavily traveled street, especially in the winter months on the hill when they may have to get started. And putting up the W4 4P cross, we've seen them where it says traffic does not stop, and put one of ththose signs up on Prather side. the stop signs on the westbound and eastbound approaches on Parade. So that would be, I think that's a good idea to do that also. But on both of these intersections, it did not meet the criteria that MUTCD requires to be met. And the, let's see, you gotta have at least 300 vehicles per hour for any 8 hours of the average day. And in these roads, at least on one side of them, did not meet it. Okay?
Right, the state's done a lot of work on Forest Avenue with signage and crosswalks.
There's a ton.
I know.
Haven't they? I think that would help.
Well, if I'm not, they might even have the lime green pedestrian signs up
Yeah,
over
they're
there.
reflective.
Yeah, I believe, I think they already
Yeah,
do.
they did a lot of work.
Yes, the state come in and completely revamped that, and so they did their study also.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was nice that these people were concerned about traffic and pedestrian safety, there's no doubt about it. So, I applaud them for that. But it comes down to the MUTCD studies and the study that the city does. So both of those but the department, Mark's department's gonna do some signage and some stop bars, and hopefully that helps. Other than that, that is all we have.
I was just gonna ask, I know we've talked several times about the school zone over at Washington School. I still get questions about it. Can we get, or have we received a definitive answer on whether we can combine those two school zones? Can we get a definitive answer from the state if we are able or allowed to do that and get rid of that short 30 mile an hour and make it all one school zone between the two schools?
I'm not exactly sure who to contact or how to go about that, but we'll
Yeah, I want to be able to go back and I had a conversation with the superintendent the other day about it, and I want to be able to give a definitive answer whether we're able to do that or not.
Okay?
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else before we go to the meeting? I guess you're up.
I have two things, unless I'll go after,
They pertain to what I'm gonna talk about, or
probably not.
then go ahead.
The Kennel Club PBA, one of their directors came to me and asked what is necessary to get permission to erect 2 memorial plaques or bronzes or granite, not the blue and yellow big New York State historical markers, but Kenneth A. Beebe died as a cop while serving our country in World War II, and the Kennel Club would like to recognize him. Apparently there was a plaque somewhere honoring him, but it was vandalized, and I thought, I was told it was found in a river or something. And then the second thing was to recognize K-9 Officer Mitchell, the dog that got stabbed in apprehending a murder suspect. So the Kennel Club wants to know how we can have, or what's necessary for putting those 2 markers on Tracy Plaza. And then they thought they'd buy them both, but then they thought if they bought one, maybe the city could buy one and go from there. So I don't have costs, I don't have numbers. I think at this juncture, I'd like to be able to have an answer regarding if they would be allowed to put those 2 markers somewhere on Tracy Plaza. I would think over where the other honorary plaques are. So that was one thing. Second thing was, I've talked to Dan Stone at length about Southridge Park getting signage. The signs run around $1,500 a piece. We need 2 of them at Southridge. And then a third sign for the triangle at Barrett and Forest and Hazeltine. Checked with Leanne and Jen and the assessor's office and GIS maps and deeds and everything, that is only noted as a park without a name. And I'm putting forth to name it the Hazeltine Park for the Hazeltine family, who was instrumental along with the Prendergast family in creating this fine city through their generations of devotion. Abner Hazeltine was a judge, an educator, an assemblyman representative, and his grandfather Daniel was one of the early settlers here. So I, again, like in the form of a resolution at some point in time, like to have those three signs, the one at Hazeltine, what I'm calling Hazeltine Park, and the two at Southridge, up to $5,000 be appropriated out of ARPA money for those three signs. I'm not sure what the legwork is, the paperwork, the application for that or not. But I've talked to Dan, Dan's talked to Mark, and I'd like to have, at least in my ward, the parks signed.
Elliot?
I would say that there's a different status, you know, we can discuss about the signs, with the finance committee. As far as the Kennel Club PBA signs, I know there's a procedure for that we can address.
Okay.
You know, usually the Kennel Club is a private organization, so private organizations donate their memorials to the city rather than the city pay for one.
Right. Yeah, I would think they'd come up with both of them. But, thank you, Elliot.
Yeah.
We'll get more from you. Appreciate it. That was my two things.
I really only have one thing of the utmost importance, and that is 4 p.m. tomorrow in here is the budget release. For clarification, I'll reiterate it again tomorrow. It will be a work in progress up till probably 3 o'clock tomorrow. Not gonna lie, it's been a very tough budget. I will be very clear on what we are facing. It shouldn't be a surprise to most of you as you sit here. But, word to the wise, don't bank on any ARPA money. Don't bank on any ARPA money
For next year, for anyone.
at all. I will also reiterate that it will be a moving target up until you guys vote. There's some things that, you know, Erica has nailed down with, you know, as far as our price of retirement insurance and things like that, but, there's some risks and gambles we're taking and some things that we're waiting on final numbers on, so just keep that in mind, when we release it tomorrow. If you're not here at 4 p.m., we will get you your book.
This room?
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Just a reminder too, I know Jen sent out the calendar, proposed calendar for the budget.
To you and to the,
Yes.
to send it to the group.
Right.
So
You got,
that
so
will come.
just to kind of, we're good with that, Brent?
Yeah, can you print some up for the meeting tomorrow?
Right. And then also email them to the rest of the council so they have that, but just kind of a reminder, so stay open. Again, next week there is no meeting because of the holiday. And then the following week, we have a work session on the 21st, right?
Mm-hmm. Pretty much everything.
Yeah. So it's going to be city clerk,
It's all your city departments
Yep.
with the exception of DOD.
right? City clerk, controller, assessor, IT, corporation council, mayor, police, fire, right?
Mm-hmm.
How about and Parks and DPW?
Parks and DPW is before the voting session.
Yep.
That's the next week,
Yeah.
okay, that'll be the 28th. And then in November 4th will be DOD in Fenton.
Mhm.
And any potential callbacks if you have any questions. And then we'll have pre-filed amendments due by the 10th. And then there'll be public hearing.
That's it. You have the room to add any other
Right,
ones you
on
want
the
back,
18th,
anything you
right.
want discussed.
And it's kind of a goofy schedule this year because of the holidays, right? So we have an early voting session in November, it's the 25th. And that would be Thanksgiving week, and we have to have it passed by the first, so anything past the 25th would have to be the week of Thanksgiving, if you were gonna go further past that, so that's kind of the date, so we'll have Jen send that out, we'll have extra copies, just so you know, those meetings, you know, will begin earlier, 6 o'clock-ish for those, and then we'll have our regular work sessions following that, on our regular committee stuff.
And a reminder, I will be here, but I'm not gonna come to those discussions, that's on you guys. It's your budget when I hand it to you tomorrow.
Thanks.
We're done.
That's either a good feeling or not, I don't know.
I don't know, it hasn't been a good feeling, so.
It's a lot of work, and again, just to reiterate, I know tomorrow, you know, we'll get into more of the details, but, it's a moving target, I mean, we have almost a couple of months, 6 to 8 weeks to go through, look at it, make some changes if we'd like, add some amendments at the last minute if there has to be some, but, you know, obviously we'll do our due diligence and go through each department and see what else we can do within that budget, whatever was given to us, so. That is the schedule as we best know it at this point. Okay. Anything else? If not, go watch the baseball game.